Sam and Samantha for inviting me to come and speak today, because it has been awesome. I have watced and listened and heard and experienced, and it's been amazing. And I just want to big you two up for a little while, because no one knows how hard it is Well done, ladies. You've done an awesome job. Be proud and enjoy this moment, okay? So, some time ago, Sandra, you asked me to come and speak. And it was an interesting email because you gave me a theme, and it was time for change. And then you said, do your thing. And I'm an artist, so I welcome the opportunity. So thank you. So, when I thought about these words and I thought, time for change, I'm thinking this is something that can spiral into so many different directions. This is something that every single person in this room is going to have a different thought and alternative narrative, something about what they feel time for a change means. And I'm a word mechanic, so I spiraled through the many different alternatives and the many different thoughts and the many things that people could think about what time for change would mean. And they all come down to one thing. And you all know it, it's a very common expression. I mean, we've heard it earlier today, I think within the first speaker. He basically said, be the change you want to see. But that says nothing of the journey that it takes to become that change. So, I thought I'd take you on a little journey today through change and what that means to me. So when I was a child, adults would often ask, what do you want to be? And they would reel out a list of occupations, and I was expected to firmly decide which occupation I wanted to be for the rest of my life at the age of 10. But I think the better question is not what do you want to be, but who. Because if you know the who you want to be, and you know the who of who you are, then the what follows naturally. You find your purpose. Mark Twain said it in a quote. He said, there are two most important days of your life. The first is the day you were born. Does anyone know the second? Say again? Exactly. You find that out by knowing who you are, not what you are going to be. Once you know who, the what follows. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of background so you're going to see where I get to the end of my journey, but I'm going to start you, not at the start, but I'm just going to take you in and out of different places, and I'm going to drop in some poetry, and I'm going to hope that this works. Because maybe it will, maybe it won't, but I hope you come on this journey with me. And I'm fairly certain that you'll see where I'm coming from when we reach the end, but you're going to have to stay with me to appreciate the journey. A long time ago, I was at an event and I met lots of different writers, and I'm going to use labels for a second because it's necessary. There was a writing event, lots of different writers, and there was a youngish, she was older than me, but youngish at the time, because it was a few years ago now, youngish black female writer. And she sticks out in my mind, not because she was a young black female writer, but because of the title of the book that she wanted to publish. And the book that she wanted to publish was called In the Waiting Room. And that, to me, as a woman of colour, summarised the whole of our plight. Because we are always in the waiting room when we are being considered for the job opportunity, the housing opportunity, the childcare opportunity, the educational opportunity, the relationship opportunity, the living a life without traumatic experiences every day opportunity. And I grew up in a world where you did not exist as a female unless you were somebody's someone. And the only way that I found that I could overcome that was to find a definition of myself that was beyond all of those labels. And that's when I wrote this piece, which is spelt evolution, but pronounced Eve of Luton, because that's where I'm from. I'm a dust-coloured Eve at the dawn of a century. If you look into my eyes, you can see the whole of history. I bear the scars of a bygone age, caught in the raptures of mankind's rage. I carry the blood of all Earth's nations, the history of humans since the dawn of creation. Their memories in my heart and their blood in my veins, their history in my soul and in my heart. I know their names. I'm made accidentally beautiful by the blending of civilizations, the binding of cultures and the union of nations. On the crown of my head are the Saharan cameos, designed by African elders a forgotten time ago. If you look at my hands, although lastingly lovely, you can still see the toil that was passed down onto me. All life grows in my belly and is nurtured at my breasts. I shape our children's futures in the ways that only mothers know best. And if you look to my body, so feminine and lovely, yet strong and firm from the time I spent in slavery. I have a gentle smile of grace and wisdom to encourage the growth of a dying nation. And if you listen to my voice, even though I speak softly, you can hear 1,000 years' rage swirling around inside me. In the structures of my cheeks, you can trace the whole of history. I am a living language, written in beauty, and I am adorned in truth. If you want to know my side, I will let you feel each passing century, each evolution of life, as you touch the place where history has touched me. So that's who I am, and that's all that I think matters. We think it's stuff, we think it's things, we think it's titles, we think it's labels, we think it's occupations. But I'm going to tell you a quick story which kind of demonstrates how little what we own really means compared to who it is that we are. And it's not my story, it's a story, you can Google it on YouTube. I'll tell you the title in a bit. I'll tell you it now, but it ruins the story. So there's an older man, and he's recounting a story of his youth when he used to go and he used to play Monopoly with his grandmother during the school holidays by the seaside. And he gets beaten every year from the age of 5 to the age of 12. His grandmother beats him every year. And he decides this year, I'm going to beat my grandmother. I'm going to be the person that has all the land, all the money, all the cars, and I'm going to celebrate that. And that's what he did. The end of that summer, when he turned 12, he beat her and he gloated and he was celebrating and he was so happy, yeah? And the grandmother gently said to him, and now it all goes back in the box. And the little boy was like, well, you're just angry because I now have all your stuff, all your money, everything that you own. And that's the reason why you want me to pack it away. And the grandmother said to him, none of this was ever mine. This game existed before I sat down to play, and it will continue to exist after I get back up again. At the end of the day, everything goes back in the box. And that's a metaphor for life, because we can have all the titles, we can have all the land, we can own all the cars, we can own all the houses, but you can never really own it. Because at the end of the day, it all goes back in the box, as so will we. That's why it's important to know who you are and what it is that you want to be. I wrote this following poem, it's called The Last Black Man, and it's about ancient civilizations, but actually it's a warning for the civilization that we're in now. And it's kind of long, but I hope you kind of appreciate and understand what I'm trying to say with this. What happened to the people of Sumer? The traveller asked the old man. For I heard they were a wise and mighty people. Ah, the old man sighed. They lost their history and so they died. What I'll tell you is the legend of Summer, the story surveyed by word, about a nation of people who once did rule the world. And I am the last who shall speak it, for I am the end of the line. I am the world's last black man, and so the duty is mine. We had so many enemies and fought so many wars. Not all the battles were physical, but some were in minds like yours. We didn't believe in our history, we didn't believe in ourselves. We allowed other nations to pass us by and to leave us on the shelf. We believed their version of history, that we were always slaves. We forgot that we were kings and queens and believed that we lived in caves. We failed to remember our value, all the things we'd achieved as philosophers, inventors, scientists, catering for our nation's needs. We failed to value our women and preferred to worship instead their thin-hipped, blue-eyed counterparts, and now the black woman is dead. I am the last of a nation, the last that can know it all. There can be no more offspring. Our nation has had its fall. It suddenly becomes so real to me, all the suffering and dying. Excuse me. It suddenly becomes so real to me, all that we've endured. Slavery, apartheid, racism, the truth we all ignored. We started to fight amongst ourselves, but there wasn't any prize. We turned our backs on our brothers when what we needed is pride. Proud in the fact that we were people, proud that we'd come through it all, proud we were a nation of fighters standing firm, stable and tall. And now our nation has fallen, and there are no remains. We've been swept away from history. There are no history books with our names. No one will come to our epitaph, no statue will stand in our honour. There will be no day declared holiday, no homage to our colour. There will be no poppies or remembrance day for us who died in their wars, who gave up their lives in the battles that didn't help their cause. When I sit and think of my people, tears hit the back of my eyes. There is no record of our greatness. History is made up of lies. I want to tell you the story of dust-coloured girls and boys raised in a world of wonder, philosophy and so much more. Rich with laughter and countless joys, with children snatched from parents, bred and sold as slaves, who never saw their families again and who lie in unmarked graves. It's not so far away from me, the suffering and the dying, but I'd managed to distance myself by listening to their lying. And here I am bewildered, in my heart I feel their pain, they're screaming in my ears as their blood rushes through my vein. So many of us were murdered, but the truth lay twisted and covered. We killed us again by forgetting all that we had suffered, that we were the mightiest nation of all, a fact in which we are blind. The ethnic cleansing started with our bodies, but it ended in our minds. We could fight the tangible enemy, but we couldn't fight the lies. They wrote us out of history, and that is why we died. And here the legend comes to an end, and I have to say with sorrow that this is not a myth, it's a memory. And it's not that far from tomorrow. And I say this because great civilizations remain hidden from history, because at the end of the day, everything goes back in the box. What remains is the oral history of those people who did great things, those people that committed great acts of courage, bravery or charity. We carry these memories with us, no matter how we are dismissed, belittled. We remember our history because it created us. However, we do not remember what people owned, only their words and their actions. So how do you want to be remembered? Who do you want to be? Now, I've been speaking for a while, so I'm guessing quite a few of yourself are asking yourself exactly who I think that I am. And the answer is quite simple. I am limitless, and so are you. Right here behind us, coincidentally, is how limitless you are. It's for fun, right? When I was a child, I was always told I needed to know my timetables like the back of my hand. You should know yourself like the back of your hand. But in the palm of your hand, you have the power to create anything you wish. Because this, the opposing thumb, created all civilizations. And this opposing thumb stands opposite and against the masses. And yet it creates because it knows that friction, the right friction, good friction, is creation. So you should be like your opposing thumb and create the reality that you want to see. And if you ever think that you're too small to matter, fairly certain you've heard this before, but try sleeping in a room with a mosquito. It keeps you awake all night, and you can very rarely see it. So, what I'm really trying to say is that I am are the most powerful words that we will have in our universe. Because whatever you say after those two words, you are. Everything, sorry, I'm wrapping up. Everything is an affirmation. I am ugly means you are. I am beautiful means you are. I am limitless means I am. And I'm just going to finally do one thing for you. One poem, one piece, 30 seconds. Think of this. Flip your circle. I am. You can call me all the names you want, and they will continue to hurt me. But nothing hurts me more than beginning my history with slavery. I am a queen who don't fit in your kingdom. I am unseen because I surpass your wisdom. I am mean because I refuse to be a victim. But I am a dream of a fair and equal system. My skin's the colour of Ethiopian soil and the sands of the Egyptian deserts. I lived my life and turned to dust before many of these civilizations developed. I descend from the lands of Sheba, Egypt, Ethiopia, Kemet, or Kerma, carried across the seas to the Caribbean, shackled, chained, and not seen as a human being. Yet I am a queen that don't fit in your kingdom. I am unseen because I surpass your wisdom. I am mean because I refuse to be a victim. And I am a dream of a fair and equal system. Not content to enslave my body, you destroyed my memory and my legacy, destroyed my cities, burnt down my temples. I was made into history's examples, as they renamed my gods and stole my customs without consent, without discussion. Reduced to folklore, myth and legend, all I stood for ends. No, gods or saviours are in my image, and it's blasphemy to suggest any linkage with my skin and the divine, which surely must be asinine when equality comes from above and God's only image is love. Which comes in all shapes and sizes, so shouldn't be having any surprises knowing that I am a queen that doesn't fit in your kingdom. I am unseen because I surpass your wisdom. I am mean because I refuse to be a victim. I am a dream of a fair and equal system. I am Eve, and I have been since life begun. I am a queen, and we are all one. So that's been my time, but I will leave you where we began, with time for change. Now you know how to be the change you want to see. Who do you want to be?